Hey, it's the second try. If you didn't know, the first time I recorded this, I forgot to enable my audio input source. So it was showing up on OBS, but I forgot to click whatever it is, the little microphone on button. So here I am again. Gonna yap for another 25 minutes because why not? I think it'll be fun. So what am I doing? Why am I here 4 years later? A lot has changed. A lot has happened to me. Um, Moved to West Virginia for work just to start off. Then moved back to Los Angeles with my ex. Lived with her for about a year and a half. We broke up, and I moved to my parents' place, and now I'm back. Now you see the background you currently see is my own apartment that I live in. I'll eventually give a room tour. We'll see what happens. Maybe, maybe not. I always used to do that whenever I moved places. I actually have it on many places that I moved. I just never uploaded it. So maybe I will. We will see. So why am I making this? There's a lot of things that I've been looking into myself, self improvement, if you will. When people hear self improvement, they think, "Oh, you're just hitting the gym," which that was part of it. I did hit my gym era um, after the breakup, as every guy usually does. Whatever the reason is to get you in the gym, man, I'm not gonna judge you. Um, you know, for me, it was just I looked at myself and I was like, well, nothing else to do. Got all this time on my hands. Got all these emotions to vent out. Let's go to the gym. So I've been doing that for about a year and a half now, really focusing in on the gym. I got a personal trainer. Best decision I've made financially um, in my life, probably. Yeah, I would say that's probably the highest money to happiness ratio I've ever spent, even though it's a good amount of money per month compared to what other people make in a month. Um, it has definitely changed my life. Now, do you need one? No. You can just eat whole foods, eat more protein, and you'll be okay. Lift more weight than you did last week. Even if you're a woman and you don't want to get muscular, muscle is good for weight loss. You can stop at a certain point. You don't have to get muscular. You can just get toned. I think toned actually looks better um, than what is just like normal body types. That's my opinion. Um, so yeah, in conclusion, I moved a bunch to West Virginia, back to Los Angeles. Lived with my ex. Plenty of stories. I'm not gonna share anything personal, but things that I learned from experiences that have happened, both on how to live with someone else, a lot of mistakes that I made, a lot of mistakes she made, a lot of boundaries I should have drawn that I didn't, a lot of things I look back on that I really messed up that I was like, oof, I said that, I did that. Ooh. Like I'm surprised, looking back that that was me. And I look at these videos I've uploaded 4 years ago. I'm on my YouTube channel page here, and you always think you have it figured out. You don't. You always learn more. And this is kind of I just wanted to document. That's why I'm making these videos is to document basically my journey of rediscovering what a man is, rediscovering what a man is in a relationship in general. Um, talking about my gym experience, talk and how that's changed me. Talking about a lot of little self improvement things that I've been doing these past 6 to 8 months. I've gone to a week long spiritual retreat that really changed how I view a lot of things. Uh, I can go on and on about the little things I've done. I can here. I brought this to show. I have a sign that says "free hugs." Everyone who gave me a hug at the mall, I did this at the mall. Got to sign the poster. I learned a lot about how friend groups work, people's egos, uh, how desperately people are alone. Because when I did that, I was like, oh man, maybe 50% of people will just give me a hug. Most of them will be, you know, just adults that feel badly for me or who knows? But it was like an 80% success rate. I don't know if it was just fun or if it was just interesting or people thought they were part of a video and none of it was recorded. And I'm never going to record stuff like that. But that was wildly successful. And, my friends just say because I have the face card, that might be it. Um, but a lot of things I learned doing that. A lot of things I've learned by breaking through my social anxiety that I had. I used to sweat just sitting in bars by myself. Um, couldn't talk to anybody, couldn't say anything. Still working on my social confidence, but bars, clubs, raves, all that stuff is nothing. In order to break through it, I went to a Mandarin comedy show and I didn't speak Mandarin because I needed to be somewhere where I knew I didn't belong and everybody around me knew I didn't belong. And that was probably one of those social things that I think really just like broke myself out of my bubble. Only part left in this social improvement journey, and I'll probably make a whole video, a whole series of just this like progressive overload, kind of like working out of social, becoming uncomfortable and being like more just like exploring things socially. Um, that I think is very valuable to do. The only thing left, like I said, was is asking out, cold approaching women in public and asking them out. Um, for the few times I have done it, great success. Should be doing it a lot more, to be honest with you. Getting my friends into it too, so we're working together. There's a lot of things I read in books that I want to talk about: demographics, um, you know, eye contact, body language, tone of voice, taking voice classes. I was speaking incorrectly. I still kind of am. When I learned Farsi, you speak in the back of your throat. So naturally, when I learned English, and not that English was my second language, but I learned it in tandem with Farsi, and Spanish, kind of, growing up, that I kept it back here. And English is a language you speak with your mouth. It's kind of like a at the mouth language. But if I speak Farsi, for example, اگه اینطوری حرف بزنم و بگم هر چیزی که میخوام, it's back here, right? And because it's back here, I just keep my English voice back here. That gives me throat problems. That makes my voice crack. And you probably can sometimes hear when I make these videos, my voice will crack. And I just need to get better at the mechanics of using my jaw more right now, like to articulate my words and to put my breath at the front of my mouth. A lot of little things that I've self-improved working on, that stemmed from an inferiority complex of I didn't believe I was good enough for love or for somebody else. Um, but I know that's not true. I just need to prove it to myself by, you know, going after those people, by picking up on social cues, by being fearless beyond imagination. Um, I was just driven by that so much. That's how I got into the gym. That's why I got into like taking care of myself, physically, for example. I got into, like just little tiny things like cleaning up your eyebrows, cleaning up your facial hair that's not just your beard. Doing your nails, manicures and pedicures, very important in your cleanliness. Just went to get a facial. Shout out to my second cousin. She did a great job. That's why I might be a little bit more red. But got a lot of shit out of my face and getting a skin care routine down. Keeping your hygiene is already ahead of a lot of other men that I see day to day. I do get called gay because they perceive me as clean and take care of myself. And usually that group of people, homosexuals, do take care of themselves more. I actually don't know why that's the case. Uh, Beats me, but they have the best taste in fashion, best taste in sense. Um, you know, so whenever I'm, out and about, and if I see a couple of them, or usually they run some stores, I'm like, great, I'm in good hands. They have good taste. I say that people are gonna think, oh, well, look at this guy. Anyway, that's just my opinion. A lot of things that I've been fixing and doing stemming from inferiority, but actually very beneficial to my life, and I'll forever be grateful that I tried all these things, I did all these things. I'm taking like dancing classes, voice classes that I mentioned, improv, fantastic source of just like breaking out of your shell, You'll always have something to say. Don't ever think if you go on stage or someone says to talk about something for a few minutes, you won't have something to say. You believe in the power of your mind. It's something I will really harp on a lot with these like I want to make these videos like weekly. I just talk and I update you on what's going on, how I'm thinking. The power of your mind is great. Do not believe that you are a product of your environment. Okay, you choose how to act a certain way based on your environment, and you can choose to change your environment and then change how you act towards it, or just change how you act regardless of your environment, which is a lot harder. So, for example, for me, growing up in a only child Persian household, as most first generation or second generation Persian, I guess. Parents moved here, I guess, then I was born. So I don't know how first generation, second generation. I don't know how that works. But because of that, um, I was babied a lot as a kid, and I subconsciously saw that as good qualities in a partner, and I expected that of from a partner, which is not a bad thing. It's not something I wanted because it actively stunted doing shit on my own, like just little things that you really need to live on your own and do fully removed from your parents, like absolutely do not assist me at all. Um, and people get that in college a little bit. I did an online college and I lost half of my high school years to COVID, pretty much 1 year, but 1.5 years, or maybe 1 year, but I'll call it two because California was basically not livable for two. It wasn't fun for two. So yeah, a lot of those environmental factors, I made a conscious decision because I believe in the power of my mind to act a certain way and not be certainly confident or be babied or believe I wasn't capable of doing certain things that other people were doing for me, or that someone else should do these things because I made a decision based on my environment, not because that environment existed. I take full responsibility for putting myself in that environment, even if it wasn't my choice or wasn't, I couldn't have done anything about it. I was still in that environment, but I made that the decision I made within that environment is mine and mine only. So I'll talk about the distinction between that and how that's different. I think it's like a little bit of an accountability. Accountability. Yeah, I'll use my articulation with my jaw. Accountability thing, but that's just like a nitpicking thing. A lot of little things. A lot of you would be surprised if you took a step back from yourself, put your ego to the side, really think like, okay, I think this way. Why do I think this way? Do I want to still think this way? Is it beneficial to me? Am I happy that I'm thinking this way? Not that every way you act should make you happy, because every emotion should be balanced. There's nothing that's inherently good or bad. Um, but does this make me happy? Do I want to be like this? Do I want to be a little this socially anxious, be in my bubble? Maybe I do. Maybe that makes me happy. But I definitely want to at least try to push myself to see how uncomfortable I can be in social settings without bringing other people down with me. Just because I'm doing this on my own doesn't mean I have to like bother other people. Does that make sense? Obviously, I will have to speak to other people without being spoken to, which that's like a whole barrier. Is that people love to talk. They want to give you their opinion. They want to talk about what they're doing. They want to talk about what they're reading. They want to just play along and have a little social like fun of, oh, some random guy just came to talk to me what I was reading about. Like, I don't know. Someone just came up to me and told me I look beautiful. That's it. People, I have not yet gotten a negative experience from just being respectful, understanding that it's strange and stating it, but still doing it anyway. Um, Very difficult, and I never thought I would get to this point 6 months ago. But I had a vision when I went to a week long spiritual retreat. I had a story of which the best way I can describe it is I saw what I will get in a partner in the future, and I recognized that I was not yet ready, not worthy. Worthy is different. I was not yet prepared for the amount of perfection that I saw in the individual that was with me or that will be with me. And when I saw that, the way I saw that was I saw the future, my future self, but I almost saw him taller than me, and I was looking upward, and that didn't give me the sensation that he's physically taller than me and I'm going to be taller in the future. But there's a difference in maturity or state of mind that I wasn't very high up, but it wasn't like I wasn't eye level with this person. So it was still like I need to make progress. And I call that story the woman with the perfected purple sword. Actually, the purple sword, but I'll explain why it's called that story. But that's the story of it. Generally, is that I saw my future partner, not the face, obviously, not the name, but like who that person is and what they stand for. And I knew I was not prepared to handle someone not perfect because no one was perfect, but that well rounded because I didn't feel I was well rounded enough, and that kind of stems from inferiority of myself. I don't believe I deserve that, but I also just knew that was the case. Because yes, everybody deserves the best, but some people aren't prepared for the best when it hits them. Sometimes the best will fall into your lap, and you will fumble it. It's possible. Um, at least I believe it's possible. So I want to prepare myself for that moment when that happens. Um, but also thinking that way puts me in some sort of like high point of, well, I feel like I saw what I will get. Like, oh, like I don't give people as much of a chance as I should, or I act a different way than I shouldn't. So a lot of little things. So sorry, from the first time I recorded this, like I don't know if I'm missing something that I said in particular. Um, yeah, I don't know. Little updates on my life. I don't know if I mentioned I had two cats. I lost one of them. She ran away, so I just have one cat with me now. Her name's Jojo. My childhood dog name is Mojo. So if you know that reference, good for you. If you don't, you're either too young or you're too old, whichever one it is. Um, and then yeah, not much gaming that's gonna happen on this channel. Just gonna be just a documentation of my thought process, what I've seen, what I've learned through talking to people. A lot of people will give you, if you just ask them, "Hey man, what kind of life advice would you give?" Um, People love, even if they're your age. Some people know way more than you believe. I've met people that were 18 that had a better chip on their shoulders than some people I know that are 25. Right? They're just mental maturity, or I don't even know how to describe it. Their energy, now I sound too hippie, is just so much more refined, more than it should be at that age. And I guess that just depends on how many people decide to think about themselves, master the mind. But you can kind of tell in people when they give off a certain different vibe. I think um, the more polished they are, and I really just think that depends on the belief they have of themselves and how they portray that. How much they've thought about it, how much they've sat and thought about it. Because there's always going to be this balance, and I'm trying to get this balance myself of how much do you have fun and how much do you work on yourself. And these things obviously can both happen together, but sometimes they're not together. Sometimes the things you must do are going to be uncomfortable. They're going to be strange, especially for the social stuff. You're going to be sweating. You're going to be, you're not going to believe what you're saying out of your mouth. You're going to get rejected. You're going to get laughed at. People are just going to think you're strange. You're weird. I mean, it's going to be hard. Most beneficial things are not victories. They're not fun times. They're not, a good night you went out and yeah, you have fun. Yeah, you drink a little bit. You're out till 3 a.m. in the morning, 4 a.m. with a group of people you'll probably never see again, or you'll only see for the night, whatever works for you. And then you wake up the next day hungover, and that's fine. And I like doing that. But the days I spent just sitting and being like, okay, you know, what is an aspect of my life I want to improve that I haven't yet improved? What, you know, like I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned, again, I don't know if it's from the first recording or not. Like, I had bad boundaries with my parents. I were kind of babied, you know, Do I want to be a little bit more like, hey, listen, I don't tolerate this kind of behavior? Yeah. Do I want to say no more to things when I feel like I say yes, but I feel like I should say no? Yeah, there's plenty of those little tiny things to work on yourself. There's plenty of books, and books are fucking gold mines. Because all you need is just one little idea from a $5 book. Even if you read one chapter and one sentence is just good enough to change your life just slightly, then the book was worth it. It's just like, for example, I read a book recently. It's called No More Mr. Nice Guy. Sounds like a book on trying to be an asshole. Not really. It's more on stop being a people pleaser and stop kind of being a pushover. Um, and it goes through like why you might be like this. Anyway, quote of the book for me is the opposite of crazy is still crazy. So if someone was a narcissistic asshole and was disrespectful to everybody, you being a people pleaser that never says no, that gets walked all over, is not better. It is just as bad. The only difference is people just might not directly tell you because they might be taking advantage of it, but it's just as crazy. So that's just a little tidbit from that book. I'll probably go over all the books I've read. I've even read smut because I wanted to know why that genre of books is so highly sold, and it teaches you a lot actually. Because I think women are the primary consumers of romantic novels, and it teaches you a lot actually about, I believe, and I've spoken to some women about this, is that like I so the only I can okay so the only smut book I read was Credence. I don't know why I'm going to go into this of all the things I can go into. Billions of things, thousands of things have changed in the past 6 to 8 months, and the amount of visions I've seen and meditations I've done, and uh, things that I've worked on, and I'm here talking about smut anyway. This is when you know, like, I got too much to talk about, but this is what I'm going to be talking about. I read Credence, which is just like a girl who moves in with her uncle and two of his sons. That's all I'll say. You think, at least from what you read, that, the book will highly just over sexualize I don't know, the physical traits of the man. Because as a guy and being around guys, that's really all. Obviously, I do this. I'm a man too. I do this to a certain degree as well. But I would say on average, we weigh physical perception more than most. Now, I had a vision actually that changed my mind on that mostly, but I want to talk about the average. So you think you go into the book, it's going to be very like, and there's always fantasies that obviously do relay these fantasy ideas, but you read it and you realize, obviously in the first book, the beginning halves of the book, they introduce him with the physical traits and describing the physical traits. But then when, things get interesting, if you will, things happen, you realize it's more of the story. It's more of the emotion behind it. And they are emotional creatures. It was interesting to read it and really understand that, like, they describe how they look, but she's talking about how she feels. Not physical, obviously physical sensations as well, but how it's like mentally, pushing certain buttons, if you will, and how that's like working for her and or working against her, whatever that may be. It was very interesting to read that, to kind of get a perspective. And I talked to some people, and that's why some of them said they like to be approached in public, because it gives sort of meaning as like a fairy tale story. Like, oh, like I'm out and about and this person finds me and then makes a move. And then this and that happens. But like, we locked eyes from across the room, X, Y, and Z. It feels like it's a lot. They say, at least from what I've asked, that they would prefer that because it's fun. It's almost like the story of how it happens is almost just as exciting as it actually happening. Is the best way I can describe it to any guys who have never read it. But the story is more exciting than the actual action. The plot is more exciting than the actual action. And that if you really want to think about it, video games are the same. Sometimes campaigns, man, if you're just shooting a bunch of people, yeah, people will call it a shitty campaign. It's a good campaign. And you start shooting people in the campaign in like Call of Duty campaigns, then you realize, oh shit, like I care about the people I'm shooting, and this is a lot more fun. Same thing. It's the best way I can describe it. It's the first thing that came to my mind. Improv. So, besides the fact, don't know why I talked about smut. First video I talk about some smut. I'm probably gonna read a little bit more. That's the only one I read, but that was a great insight. And man, apparently it's really popular romantic novels. I did not know this. Well, I knew it was. I didn't understand like how, and then I kind of get it now in the sense of like, the storyline. Um, yeah, a lot of little things. I have stories. I'll name the stories. Like it's called the woman with the purple sword is one story. I went to a Mandarin comedy show without speaking Mandarin. I have Notes from the Underground as a story I will tell you one day. That one kind of needs like a lot more context and a lot more like, circumstantial like information before I tell that story. Um, every time I go into an Uber, I have to ask if they're married, and if they're married, are they happy that they're married? I have asked 15 Uber drivers. One of them said they're happily married. Now, that's Uber drivers, so maybe it's because of their job and how much they have to work. But I've only asked one or two women if they're happily married. One said, yeah, I like my husband. One person so far I've seen, shout out, I can't say her, well, I won't say her name, but I met um, at the spiritual retreat. One person I found the glitter in her eye, the sparkle of joy. When I mentioned, are you happily married? I saw that sparkle of joy that I believed I need to see and I will have when talking about my significant other. And she had it. Good for her. Super happy for her being that happy. But she had that sparkle when I asked, "Oh, are you happy in your marriage?" And she just was like overjoyed to talk about how they met, how they are, and maybe some people always get that sparkle and it fades. I don't know. I'm not that old yet. I'm not married. I haven't been with someone that long to know. Um, but she was married for many years, had kids, had few kids near my age, around 24, 25, 26. So she was in it for a while, but she had that sparkle. And the second I saw that, that's when I knew like that's how I want someone to speak about me, and that's how I want to be when I speak about the other person. So a lot of little things that I've been like discovering about myself, pushing myself through, doing certain things, and realizing just things both about you know, the other gender and how they mentally function a little bit, and then learning about how men should be and how we function more. Obviously, I'm used to it, but understanding where I want to draw the line of being a man and where I don't want to be a line, when you know when I want to draw a line of like taking care of myself is not going to be a line I draw in terms of like feminine traits, right? I think that's kind of strange that it's feminine to take care of yourself, um, like not going to the gym, but everything else of like skincare, you know, hand care, moisture, doing all of those things, makeup, whatever you call it, smelling good, all of those things, being clean, just things that those are I'm just gonna things I'm gonna be keeping. But I'm gonna grab all those things. I'm gonna make myself a better person. I'm constantly gonna make myself a better person. I'm pushing myself still, even socially, more than I want to say more than I ever have before. I'm kind of like I'm seeing why I struggle with showing romantic interest more than anything, and kind of analyzing it, but not that I really need to know the reason why. I just need to just do it, right? I just need to go up and do it, show romantic interest, and see where it goes. But not in, not when I'm drunk, not in nightclubs. I believe the true quality of women, or that I want to meet, is during the daytime. I just, hey, call me crazy, but the way the sun just shines off of them is how I prefer to meet them. Yes, the same daylight people are out at night sometimes. Yes, of course they are, but there's also a lot of people that don't go out at night and don't do those things. They do a lot of other hobbies, but they're out during the day. I would like to meet those people, and I would say the quality of people I've met during the day, even if it's just a conversation, compared to out at night when you're drunk a little bit, they're drunk a little bit, everyone's saying something weird, everyone's drunk, guys are super bold to the point of where it's like concerning what you're doing. Women are giving out their numbers to 20 people at once, wake up the next day hungover, not knowing who is who. Um, and you're one of the 10, 20 people that is texting her, nice to meet you yesterday. So it's just like I rather just play where it's, and the amount of confidence it shows is also, I would believe, is quite attractive to women. Is that, hey, this is broad daylight. I'm asking you. Everyone can see me. You can see me. You're not drunk. I'm not drunk. I have the confidence to still come talk to you, right? So they're going to be going over all of these things. 30 fucking minutes. Holy shit. That is a lot of stuff to say. A lot of yapping for damn what I've been up to. Didn't really even talk about what I've been up to too much. Maybe I scraped the surface. Um, but yeah, let me know if there's anything you want to hear in particular. Hopefully the audio of this works. Hopefully it doesn't sound shitty. And if it does, oh well. Hope you enjoy. All I can say is have a good day and be curious in people. People, everyone's different. Everyone has opinions. Be curious. Be curious what their name is. Be curious what they do for work. Be curious why they're at the location you're at. Be curious, about everything. What they're wearing, their pets, who they're with, or, just everything. Just be a little bit curious. Wonder in your mind. And then ask. Hey, I was wondering, you seem like this name. Can I guess your name? Or hey, can I guess why you're here? Can I guess what you're talking about? Just go play a little bit. The world is like a playground. People are there waiting to be talked to. Some people won't say, hey, I'm not willing to talk, I don't want to talk, I have a boyfriend, whatever, they're just not comfortable. That's okay. But there's so many people out there in the world that you can you're just one question away, one just hello, how are you, what are you up to, away from making like great friends. And there's so many more people out and about in the day that you could be doing this. Yes, the people that are, again, out at night are all looking more obvious, and everyone's more drunk, so they're more open to being themselves. But man, I'm just saying, daylight is just, there's something. It's nothing as beautiful as than on this planet than women are, and just the sun shines off of them. Man, shit. That's all I can say. Woo. Hey, they just look like even 10 times better during the day. Woo. Um. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. Have a good day.